Good evening, welcome to NTD UK News. I'm Stuart Leeson here at today's top stories. Hopes for holidays. British holidaymakers might be allowed to travel to some European destinations from the 17th of May, including Portugal, Malta and Gibraltar. The UK has signed a £1 billion trade and investment deal with India, expecting to create thousands of jobs in the UK, and in a major reform to marriage certificates in England and Wales, the names of both the fathers and mothers of the newly married couple will be included on the certificates. Brits are gearing up to travel abroad this summer. The Prime Minister voiced cautious optimism on Monday that some foreign travel will be allowed after the 17th of May.
British holidaymakers may have the option of jetting off to a handful of European countries from next month, or even within weeks. The UK government's Green List is expected to be released this week. It will include those countries to which people can travel without having to isolate for 14 days on their return. Reports suggest the list could include about a dozen countries. Media outlets say destinations likely to make it onto the list for travel from the 17th of May include Portugal, Malta and Gibraltar. The 17th of May is the next milestone in the government's roadmap out of lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Monday weighed in on the easing of foreign travel restrictions.
But I do think that it's important to be cautious in this. We do want to do some opening up on May the 17th, but I don't think that the people of this country want to see an influx of disease from anywhere else. I certainly don't, and we've got to be very, very tough, and we've got to be as cautious as we can whilst we continue to open up.
Also on Monday, the European Commission recommended easing COVID-19 travel restrictions next month to let travellers from more countries enter the bloc.
We propose to allow entry to the EU for non-essential reasons, not only for all persons coming from countries with a good epidemiological situation, but also for all people who have received the last recommended dose of an EU-authorised vaccine.
The Commission did not say which countries would be on the list. The EU's 27 member states still need to approve the proposals. Travel to the EU is currently extremely limited except for a handful of countries with low infection rates. And a coalition of US and European travel, airline, union, business and airport groups on Monday called for the full reopening of air travel between the US and the UK. They wrote a letter to Johnson and US President Joe Biden urging their leaders to open as soon as safely possible. The United States, since March 2020, has barred nearly all non-US citizens who have recently been in the UK from the United States.
Britain is looking to foster closer ties with India, including a free trade deal. On Tuesday, the government announced £1 billion of new trade and investment with India.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Tuesday the UK has signed a £1 billion investment and trade deal with India. He says the deal will create more than 6,500 jobs in the UK. Downing Street says the package contains more than £530 million of new investment from India into the UK. It is expected to create jobs in sectors such as health and technology. The deal also includes a £240 million investment by the world's largest vaccine manufacturer, Serum Institute of India. The investment will support clinical trials, research and possibly the manufacturing of vaccines. Downing Street says British businesses have secured export deals with India worth more than £440 million, which is expected to create more than 400 British jobs. The Prime Minister met his Indian counterpart, Narendra Modi, during a virtual meeting on Tuesday. Johnson was forced to cancel his planned visit to Delhi due to the country's worsening COVID-19 situation. During the virtual talks, the two leaders agreed on an enhanced trade partnership. International Trade Secretary Liz Truss says Britain and India will start negotiations for a full, free trade deal in autumn. She told Sky News Britain wanted to see India's tariffs on imported cars and whisky lowered or removed as part of such a deal.
It is 2 years since foreign ministers of the world's 7 largest advanced economies last met. The world has changed significantly since then, and the ministers are meeting in London to discuss the threats they face.
G7 foreign ministers are in London for their first face-to-face meeting in 2 years, and they took this opportunity to capture the moment in a photograph. Britain, as the host, says it will seek to agree decisive action to protect democracies against global threats such as China and Russia. For Britain, it's a chance to shore up the rules-based international system, a system, it says, that is being undermined by China's economic influence and Russia's malign activity. Ahead of the talks, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said he would discuss shared challenges and rising threats with his G7 counterparts, as well as the military junta in Burma, the situation in Libya and the ongoing war in Syria. Raab and the other ministers were separated by clear screens at the summit table and didn't shake hands. In addition to the G7 members Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United States, Britain also invited ministers from Australia, India, South Africa and South Korea. A full summit is planned for June in Cornwall, set to be the first overseas visit by US President Joe Biden.
The clock has run out on a legal attempt to get people back inside pubs and restaurants sooner. 2 business owners argued that there was no evidence that eating indoors contributed to the spread of COVID-19.
2 months ago, the government announced in its roadmap out of lockdown that the hospitality industry would fully reopen indoors on the 17th of May. That wasn't soon enough for former Pizza Express director Hugh Osmond. Together with nightclub and festivals operator Sacha Lord, he took the government to court. They argued that the government's own data shows pubs and restaurants are not responsible for the spread of COVID-19. The men filed their challenge days after the roadmap became law on the 25th of March. The final judgment, however, was delayed due to court backlogs. On Monday, the judge dismissed the case as academic, saying that it was now unlikely to be heard before the 17th of May. Osmond and Lord are not happy with the judge's decision. Osmond said in a statement that the case was not academic for an industry which he says is currently losing £200 million every day. The men highlighted a SAGE report, which emerged just hours before the judgment. That report said ministers were advised that eating out in restaurants was not associated with increased odds of catching COVID. Osmond says it is too late to challenge the High Court ruling, but is considering other legal options.
The government is introducing major changes to the way marriages in England and Wales are registered. From today, both parents' names will be included on marriage certificates as opposed to only the father's name.
The Home Office has announced a new electronic system it says will modernise the way marriages are registered in both England and Wales. A single electronic marriage register aims to make the system simpler and more efficient. It will include the names of both parents of the newly married couple for the first time. Marriages are currently registered by the couple, signing a register book, held at the register office, church, chapel or place of marriage. This data is then transferred to another database. It's hoped the new online system will aid the registration process that now faces a backlog of marriages due to lockdown restrictions. These amendments to the Marriage Act mark the biggest changes to the marriage registration system since 1837. Weddings can currently take place with up to 15 attendees in premises that are permitted to open in line with government guidance.
The world's largest jewellery maker, Pandora, says it will stop selling mined diamonds and focus on more affordable lab-grown gems. Pandora says it wants to transform the market with affordable, sustainably created products. Their gems will be grown in a lab in Britain. The diamonds are created by heating a hydrocarbon gas mixture. Carbon atoms in the gas then settle on a seed diamond, which grows layer by layer. Lab-grown diamonds are now up to 10 times cheaper than mined ones, According to a Bain Company report, the UK is the first country where the new lab-grown diamonds will be sold. And in other news, electric van and bus maker Arrival announced today plans to develop an electric car for Uber's ride-hailing service. The two companies say production will start in late 2023. NTD's Patrick Hayden takes a look.
British electric van and bus maker Arrival plans to develop an electric car for Uber. It will go into production late 2023. The car could be used in Europe as well as in the UK. It says the Arrival car will be an affordable, purpose-built electric vehicle for ride-hailing. Uber plans to be fully electric in London by 2025 and across the whole of Europe and North America by 2030. The company has raised more than £135 million to help its London drivers upgrade to electric. The cars will need to withstand the high demands of an Uber driver. Uber cars drive up to 31,000 miles a year. Arrival says the car will be affordable, but didn't reveal more on pricing. Patrick Hayden, NTD News, London.
UK homeowners are borrowing at record high levels. New figures reveal that they are taking advantage of the stamp duty holiday and low interest rates. The Bank of England says net mortgage borrowing reached £11.8 billion in March. This is the highest figure since records began in 1993. Some experts say with a stamp duty holiday extended, they expect activity to continue to be brisk over the coming months. Those not moving house are taking advantage of low mortgage rates and investing in home improvements. And in other news, the government launches a new debt scheme today. It's aimed at helping some 700,000 people that are struggling with debt problems. The Treasury's new scheme called Breathing Space will give people 60 days of grace to get their finances back on track. They won't need to worry about enforcement actions and will have access to professional debt advice. And those under mental health treatment will receive additional protections. The government says most types of debt will be covered by the scheme. Still to come, the Hong Kong government is working on a so-called fake news law. Critics fear it will become the latest threat to press freedom in the region. Find out more about that after the break.